The Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto is, of course, one of the most popular and beloved pieces in the violin repertoire. Every violinist plays it. We all start learning it when we're very, very young. And that's a great thing, but it also means there's a bit of a baggage with this piece. That is sort of, we have heard so many other great violinists play it, then it's a question of like, what am I going to do with this piece that's been done so many times? And the thing that I have done is that I've kind of gone, at some point I went back to looking at what Tchaikovsky wrote and try to kind of forget about the tradition and just think about what was he feeling originally when he wrote the piece. And I find that people have often changed the piece a lot, sometimes even changing the notes, but often making cuts, and also changed sometimes or exaggerated some of the musical meaning. And what remains, what I love so much about the piece is that it's full of emotion and mostly actually very full of joy. It's a very happy piece, except for the second movement, which was written a bit later. There was originally a different second movement, and then he wrote this one, which is quite tragic. But the rest of the piece is such a happy piece. And the background is that Tchaikovsky wasn't originally meaning to write a violin concerto, but he had this relationship with a violinist called Joseph Kotek, and at least he was in love with him, and there was a lot of romantic feelings going on, and that I think maybe he put some of these feelings into this piece, and it's why in a period of his life when he was actually very unhappy, this feels like actually a very positive, happy piece, and which is so emotional and passionate. Then afterwards, though, he didn't dedicate it to Joseph Kotek because he didn't want the rumors to spread about them, and dedicated it to Leopold Auer, but Leopold Auer didn't choose to perform it, and so Tchaikovsky was offended and then dedicated it to a third violinist, Brodsky, who finally played the premiere. So the piece had a very difficult start, and then also the premiere was very unsuccessful. So it's funny to think that it's a piece that like everyone likes, and it's one of the most played violin pieces in history, that actually for the first few years had such a rough start, was really not very popular. And one reason, of course, is that it's also very difficult, and a very, very difficult piece is first written. It takes some time until the violin community kind of accepts it and then figures out how to play it, and that has happened with a lot of great violin concertos. Tchaikovsky was, of course, one of the greatest ballet composers, and I think even when he's writing instrumental music, there are often passages that sound like ballet. And in the first movement of the Tchaikovsky concerto, there are many moments where I can practically see dancers dancing to it. He was always, it came very naturally to him. And these kinds of figurations when the violinist plays like that, it's kind of like... kind of like little jumps. Even the first theme of the first movement. It has a kind of classical elegance and form, almost Mozartian, but it is this gesture that I can really just see one dancer lifting another dancer, in one of those beautiful moves. So this is, I think, something that's really important in this piece. A certain lightness, dance element. Also, the last movement is kind of a wilder, more folk music dance. But I think this is a very important element of this piece that has to come out. The second theme of the first movement, that's completely the opposite. That's the most romantic Tchaikovsky can be, that when he's doing this... it's a very, very romantic, passionate theme. It's kind of each one of those notes is harmonically a dissonance. So it hurts very slightly, but it's just, keeps going forward. It's very, very romantic, and then becomes more and more passionate. And it's an amazing feeling to play this piece. When you're done with the exposition of the Tchaikovsky concerto, which lasts, I'm not sure how long it lasts, I don't know, 5 minutes, I'm not sure, but it lasts a long time, and it gets more and more intense, and faster and faster and faster, and when you finally reach this passage of, and you finally get to the tutti, and they come in with the theme, it's one of the most exhilarating, glorious moments. You feel like you're flying. The orchestra is really, really loud, and it's playing this kind of, it sounds like a polonaise because of the rhythm of dum ba da da that the brass plays. It's such an amazing feeling, and there's just moments in this piece that are where sometimes I think, yes, this is why I play the violin, to experience a moment like this. After so many years of playing the Tchaikovsky concerto, I still really love it every time I experience it, and I hope the audience does too, and I can't wait to play this with the Soul Philharmonic and Osmovenska.